talking about random acts of marketing. And we have random acts of marketing all over our newsletter, our blog, just about every communication that we send out has something about why we oppose random acts of marketing, and we really prefer that you use a system. Now, a lot of people are probably thinking, what's wrong with random acts of marketing?
Well, and there are a number of things wrong with random acts of marketing, but it's not easy to see until somebody actually lays it out and explains it to you.
Right. And when you were in school in the MBA program, you guys talked about marketing, and it was a lot simpler when you guys talked about it.
Yes, but it wasn't talked about as a system approach. It was talked about as, they didn't use the term, but random acts of marketing.
Exactly. And there didn't used to be anything wrong with random acts of marketing, especially in the aviation industry. You could show up at a trade show, demonstrate your product to people. You could buy an ad in any aviation magazine. Trade a plane was pretty much the de facto standard in the FBOs. I know you still read this one. Airport Business, Plane and Pilot, some of the other magazines. You could buy an ad and get pretty good response. But three things happened that have changed the world. Some of which for the better and some of which not, but it is the reality of where we are. So,
And the first one would be aviation went global. With respect to business, sales, aviation, aircraft, products, services. As you know, China's a big one now. India's growing. Europe is almost like we are. And then you talk about Asia,
Latin America, and
the whole world.
Exactly. So you can't just go to an aviation show and expect to cover the market, or not have any competitors. So you've got competitors in China. You probably got competitors in Latin America. You also have people who you want to sell to in those markets, and you're not going to get to them in going to 2 trade shows a year like you used to be able to do.
In fact, we have worked with folks in Moscow, and we've worked with folks in Europe, Australia, all over.
Yeah. France, Egypt,
Yeah, it goes on.
Exactly.
The second thing is the trade shows and magazines. Magazines, there used to be 4 or 5. Now you can almost say there are 100 plus aviation magazines alone. And so which one do you put your ads in? And how do you know? They don't even know which ones are doing well.
Exactly. In fact, as they're proliferating, it's diluting the number of people that subscribe to each one. It used to be everybody subscribed to 5 different aviation magazines, and now there are so many that it's really hard to keep up with those. And of course, they've also been diluted by the internet. They have their online blogs. There's a lot of places online where people get their news, so they may not even be subscribing to the paper magazines anymore. The paper magazines are charging the same rates for your advertising, and they have a lot fewer people reading them.
Yeah, and then, as we all know, the economy went south, and even today, even though there's supposedly a recovery going on, a lot of businesses, large and small, are sitting back and waiting to see what's going to happen before they invest dollars, which means you've got to have a marketing system in place to actually get their attention and, with any kind of luck, coerce them into buying.
Right. A couple of the effects of the economy going south, and this has a lot to do with, there's a lot more that goes into this, like more regulation because of 9/11, of the industry, and other things that went into that. But just the economy tanking, just because of that, a lot of people are taking a lot longer to make a decision to spend money. They don't just decide to buy something, they actually get a lot more of their organization involved in the purchase decision. They talk about it for days, weeks, sometimes months in the process of deciding how to spend their money. It's not as easy as it used to be to build those relationships and get people's trust, especially after a lot of the corporate scandals that have happened in the last few years. People wonder, can I really trust this company if I don't know them, or if they...
So you got to position yourself as the go-to provider, the guy that's the expert and knowledgeable. Even if you compare other products that aren't yours with your product, sometimes you'll lose a sale of that, but on the other hand, most of the time, they will see that you are, in fact, the expert and will go to you.
Exactly. So, I mean, the basic gist of this, or the basic outcome of all of those three things is that random acts of marketing no longer work. So we've talked about how random acts of marketing are not what we want to do, but the question is, what do you do instead? You want to replace those random acts of marketing with a system, and we call that our long cycle marketing system. Each event that's included in that system has to be measurable, and you want to make sure that they're also interchangeable. So if one thing stops working, and we know technology and shows come and go, and different periodicals come and go, we need to be able to interchange those so that we're constantly adapting without throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and we're able to keep that system running even as technology evolves. We want to make sure that each event leads to a next step, and there is always a next step. We don't ever want to leave a customer or prospective customer hanging one step short of having made the sale. And what's the result of having this long cycle marketing? You have control of a pipeline of new leads, and that's really what we want. That can really transform your business. So this is a marketing system. And at its most basic level, we've got phase one, which is advertising and prospecting. And most marketing companies spend 75% or all of your budget in phase one. But we want you to spend at least 50% of your time, energy, and money on phase two and phase three. And you can split that 50% however is appropriate. But for most businesses in the aviation industry, you really need to spend the resources on phase two and phase three, because phase two is where those sales happen, and phase three, those referrals, recaptures, and resales, that's really where the money is made in the aviation industry. And of course, there's a lot more detail that goes behind each of these phases, and we'll talk a little bit more about that and break this down a little bit further. So in phase one, we have what we call advertising. That's these blue arrows over here. We've got search engine optimization, social media, magazines, trade shows, prospecting, postcards, referrals from current customers. Any number of things can go in this section, and we want to have as many of those arrows functioning as possible. Our mantra is that diversity leads to stability. So more is better. It's just like having more hooks in the water when you're fishing. Next thing, all of these things in this example lead to a landing page. And in this case, it's an offer to download a white paper that tells people more about our product or service. Once people have taken that step and have filled out a form on a landing page, then of course, we deliver an ebook to them that is a very high value item that answers their questions and makes them feel comfortable, and they feel like has a very high perceived value. They've exchanged that for their contact information. And, so they basically raised their hand and said, yes, I want to learn more. And yes, I'm interested or have some level of interest in your product or service. Now, of those people, we may have some that we want to send an information package. And, this may be a more extensive thing that we send in the mail and maybe spend a little bit of money because we decide that this is a good prospect. Or we may decide, maybe this person is outside of our service area, or for whatever reason, we don't want to spend a lot of money, but we still want to take a next step with that person. We can send them a postcard. And in either case, of course, we can make an initial sales call. Now, we have to be really careful with our salespeople's time because they don't have time to, cold call everybody in the phone book. But what this system does is it really narrows down their time to the people who are the most likely to buy the product. And it also puts the power in their corner, because this is somebody that's requested information from you. This is not somebody off the street or somebody that you're approaching saying, would you like to buy my product? It's somebody that's expressed an interest. And so that conversation can be more along the lines of, so did you download our ebook? Were you able to access that? Did it answer your questions? And that really positions the salesperson as a helpful resource rather than as someone who's pushing someone to buy something. So in our example phase 2, we have several activities. The yellow ones, of course, are controlled or automated by software, which makes it really nice, or at least partly controlled by software. And we also use lead scoring systems so that we can keep track of how people are interacting. When we send them an email, we can see if they open it, other kinds of things, so that we are able to spend the most time with the people who are the most interested. So we send a regular email, often once a week, and this really depends on having something useful to say that people are going to welcome as helpful information, as opposed to simply buy my product, a repeated sales pitch once a week. So, this really depends on having great articles, interesting information about our product and our company that people really want to read. So regular emails, we may send the same material as printed and mailed newsletters. It's interesting that, some folks in the aviation marketing demographic, the decision makers who are making those decisions, are folks who put a lot more credibility into paper. They get something on paper, they will read it, they'll spend more time with it, and they'll respond to it much more favorably than they do to anything that we put online. So we want to make sure we hit that demographic as well. Social media conversations with our top 10. This is different from, using social media just as a megaphone to broadcast our specials and things like that, which we do also. But we really want to make it social and have those conversations with people so that we're learning about our top 10 most desired customers and building those relationships. We can also do some direct mail promotions. If we know that a customer is particularly interested in a particular product, we can send them an incentive to take advantage of that in a time-oriented way. Now, these orange boxes are actually personal interactions, and these are based on, as we said, the lead scoring, so that we're able to target our salespeople's time so that they have as much information as we can give them about where to spend their time and what the customer is likely to be the most interested in, what pique their interest to begin with, what links they're clicking on, and so on. And then at some point we'll do a formal sales presentation, and often this is by invitation. If we've spent the time to build this relationship and provide high quality information all the way along, that really helps the sales process along, and that formal sales presentation goes much, much better. And that's a much more everybody's on the same side scenario where we're trying to solve a problem rather than trying to sell a product. And then, of course, we have a sale, which is really what we're all here for, right? Then phase 3, after we make the sale, we're not done. We can't just celebrate and spike the ball. We like to send a new customer package, which includes information, contact information, troubleshooting information, instructions, other kinds of things that we know customers are likely to need. We do a customer satisfaction survey, and that gives us some great marketing material, great testimonials and other things. We want to do a follow-up call or testimonial request, maybe a thank you gift if they give us a referral or a testimonial. Referral incentive packages, those are a great way to get referrals. Again, we want to keep up with those weekly emails and providing that high-quality information because we want to keep this relationship going. More printed newsletters, social media conversations, greeting cards for birthdays, anniversaries, and so on. Direct mail promotions that they can use themselves for an additional product or an add-on product or a renewal, or to refer a friend. And then, of course, we can hope for a second sale or a referral. So there are two ways to build your system. One is to do it yourself, and the other is to have it done for you. Now, if you do it yourself, we have a marketing masterclass, and that includes a number of things: monthly webinars, Q&As, individual assistance with projects, 20-page workbooks, recordings, templates, worksheets, customized on-site training depending on the service level that you choose. And about the marketing masterclass, our clients say that they would recommend it to others, that it's a good value for the investment. It saved me a lot of time over figuring this out for myself, and I wish I'd started sooner. Those are things we love hearing, and that's really why we do the masterclass. There are several service levels. There's bronze, silver, and gold. Our silver is our most popular level, and that includes mailed printed workbooks and recordings on CD. And we also have call-in hours for that one, and that's our most popular level. We also have a bronze level that's a little bit more budget-friendly, and a gold level that includes customized on-site training. So if you don't want to do it yourself, if you'd rather have it done for you, we have an option for that as well. When you work with ABCI, we go through a process that includes a lot of listening. So our first step is the new client questionnaire, which you fill out and return to us. We review your responses, research your market and your competitors. We send you a customized marketing flight plan, which is a 3-ring binder. In the mail, we collaborate on the phone and decide whether or not we want to work together on the next steps. If no, then of course you're free to use our suggestions and information as you choose. If yes, then we decide on the best service level package for you and agree on a schedule for the next steps, including roles and responsibilities for the service level you chose. And we look forward to your sales results improving dramatically. So what's included in the marketing flight plan? Of course, we have a 31-point usability analysis of your website and social media. We do a competitive analysis that looks at everyone who offers a product similar to yours on the market, or what your customers are doing instead of buying your product, which in some cases is nothing, or is something that's a little bit unrelated to your product. We do a custom marketing blueprint, and we include options for doing it yourself or partnering with ABCI. We've got 3 service levels in our consulting area. We got our light aircraft program, our turboprop program that's more collaborative. We offer more service with that, and our business jet program, where we do as much as we possibly can for you to get you where you need to be as quickly as possible. Not every aircraft is right for every mission, so just like that, we know everybody has a different budget and scenario. So what our clients say about our consulting programs, we ask them at about the 45-day point several questions, and one of them is, have you experienced new leads and prospects as a result of your project with ABCI? 67% respond they have much more leads and prospects than before. 33% say more than before. As far as sales go, and again, this is within 45 days of beginning their project with ABCI, 67% responded they're getting more sales than before, and 33% are not yet realizing more sales. To be totally realistic, some of them have a longer sales cycle than 45 days. So that's what we would expect from that area. How likely are you to recommend ABCI to others? 100% responded very likely. That's what we really like to see. So I'm sure you have questions about your product, your service, your company, your situation, and we'd be happy to talk about those with you. If you look at our website, on the homepage, we have a red telephone. If you click on that, or on the button just below it that says check availability, we have our calendar online so that you can find a 30-minute slot. Any slot that's open, you can grab that and schedule an appointment with us to talk about your situation. If you're ready to get started right away, you can go ahead and visit aviationbusinessconsultants.com/free book and download our ebook, which goes into a lot more detail about the topics we talked about today, and also tells you how to take the next steps working with us, either for the marketing masterclass or for a consulting relationship. So thank you for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to hearing from you.
You know you could.